Welcome to Trust the Journey. I'm Jason Maletsky.
And I'm Melanie Curtis.
Our mission is to live, laugh, love, and learn together with you.
Amen. We are here to create conscious connections, to grow and contribute through our practice of openness, honesty, vulnerability, humility, and trust, trusting the entire journey.
If you want to find us on the wider internet, our handle is trustthejourney.today. That's where you can find us on all the social media feeds that we're on. And if you want to join us and become part of the Trust the Journey family, particularly, you can go to our website and scroll down and you'll find a big orange button to join Patreon. Patreon is a source for us to be able to bring in a tiny amount of income to help offset some of the investment that we make in this. And it's a contribution for people to buy in to become part of a family in which we all support each other in a very loving and supportive way. It's a safe space for anybody who wants to come. You're welcome, and we share our real person in that space. There's no personalities allowed. It's people in there, and we're real, and we have our amazing parts and we have our troubled parts, and we're free to share them and feel safe, and we welcome you to join us there.
Yes. Love the fam. Love it. Well, right on, family. Let's do this. Today is our holiday episode. This is so exciting because we decided to do this real time. So normally we publish a couple weeks out or a month out. And today we said, you know what? Let's record real time and then publish it tomorrow. And so that's what we're going to do. So today we're talking about how our holidays are going. We're going to talk about last minute gift ideas, some insight into the business. We haven't talked about that in a long time. And just what is up as we roll into the new year and this next decade.
Very exciting.
Fun, right?
Yeah.
I love it. All right, I have to start this one off because I got to do the coolest thing this morning, really? Where I got to go and be a part of Elevate Network opening the NASDAQ and ringing the opening bell of the NASDAQ Stock Exchange, which is such a cool, incredible experience. I know it's super random. It doesn't seem like a holiday share, but it's real time. And I'm totally coming off the high of that experience because, it's so cool being connected to what they're doing to elevate women and equality. And I'm just so excited and fired up to have been a part of that. It was an honor to be standing up there.
You just opened the New York Stock Exchange this morning?
No, the NASDAQ. The NASDAQ. And I didn't ring the bell. Christy Wallace, who is my friend, she's the CEO of Elevate Network. So Elevate Network. So what happens is businesses pay, $125,000 to have that role, to be able to push the opening bell and have the whole media hoopla and all this. If a spot opens up, the NASDAQ then offers it to, nonprofits or organizations that they want to promote and support. So Elevate got this opportunity, 2 days ago or 48 hours ago, 24 hours ago. And then an email went out. And it was one of those, there are very limited spots. I responded immediately and was like, yes, absolutely, I want to go. And then I rescheduled all my stuff because, including this recording, because it was such a unique and special opportunity. And I'm just so happy to have been a part of it. So I'm happy to share that with you guys. And I invite you all to follow Elevate Network. And yeah, we talk about being a family on the Trust the Journey family all the time. And there's so many different networks out there that are of such high value in my world that, Elevate is definitely one of them.
Very cool. That's an awesome share.
Thanks. And I'm rocking the red lips. For those of you not watching the YouTube, I'm totally doing holiday red lips. And it's good.
And you're looking beautiful.
Thank you.
Looks good on you.
Thank you.
So holiday season is well upon us. Everybody is flurrying around, wrapping up their work weeks and work years and getting preparations and traveling and running about. I know myself, I just returned back from a quick jaunt to Australia, probably the longest trip I've ever done for the shortest time. just quick 5 days in Australia to go and spend time with family, people very close to me in my life, people I care about very much that I consider to be family. It's the Sky family. It's the people that we are in the same tribe with. And I was over there to celebrate a birthday. But very much it's about the gathering of family. It's about getting together and spending quality time and sharing our lives with the people that are important to us, because our lives are so short and we get so few opportunities. And sometimes you just have to say, doesn't matter if I'm not in the best place financially to run around and do this right now. I got to get on a plane. I got to go to the other side of the world just so that I can sit around with the people that are close to me for a few days and share some totally amazing, epic quality time and laugh and goof and talk about our problems and be real and have a good time and just eat some good food and do some fun adventures and all that kind of stuff. So I'm super stoked that I did. I'm really happy I made the choice to go do that.
I love that for you.
Yeah, thanks.
I've read a million times on the internet that, like, the article that says it's healthier when you buy experiences, not presents or things or whatever. And I don't know if that's true, but in my experience, that seems really true.
I would agree. I think that when I look back on my own life, if I think about what are my key memories, gifts are almost never it. I mean, gifts, the most memorable gifts I have are the smallest things, the little things that are just very personal and very meaningful and keepsake and cherished, things that are made, things that are thoughtfully selected because they have a lot of value, personally gifted.
Absolutely. Thoughtfulness is by far what makes, for me, a gift wonderful, because giving gifts is one of the 5 love languages, so it's not to say that we don't feel love. We definitely tend to feel love getting gifts, but it's the distinction between getting, and listen, I like getting fuzzy socks. I'm a fan of them. Okay. I totally am into it. It's almost become a tradition to get like some version of socks, which is kind of funny, but that then makes it thoughtful, right? If it's not connected to some thoughtfulness, it doesn't necessarily have that feeling of love attached to it, even though I don't like putting that pressure on people at all when it comes to gift giving. I'm never someone who needs a gift, for a birthday or Christmas or whatever. I'd much rather just a sentiment of love and connection.
I absolutely love reaching out and connecting to people. It's something I try to make a daily habit of. I would say literally every day, something that I do is on Facebook, I click on whose birthday it is, and I'll send at least 1 or 2 quick personal messages to somebody. It's ritualistic daily practice to reach out very cool. And make those connections. I want to share something because I just gave a gift and it was, look at you. Oh my God, that's so cute.
I have a Santa mug. This is a gift from my mom.
Aw, Mom has got it nailed. I just gave a gift that was very meaningful and it was very thoughtfully curated, I guess. So here's a little bit of my art photography.
Let's hear it.
Okay, so if you're on YouTube, you get to see this beautiful image. Now, this is a tiny version of the full-size one that I just did. The full-size one's 6 feet long.
Awesome.
So it's a huge print, and it's beautiful. The framing was bright purple. So it just came out wonderfully. I'm going to hold this closer and just do a little panorama for those of you who are looking on YouTube, because this is just this amazing moment.
It's this incredible sunset. Just for you guys listening, it's, oh my gosh. Someone out in the distance on top of a cliff and this incredible orange
top
rock.
Of the world.
Oh, it's gorgeous.
Yeah. So
wow.
It's so fun giving gifts, isn't it? I love it.
Yeah, it is when the thoughtfulness is there. I don't think giving gifts is fun when I'm just trying to fulfill an obligation around a whatever. That's not really my thing. If it's thoughtful, then super fun. Otherwise, no.
I don't even do those gifts.
Yeah, I don't either.
No.
I don't even play that game anymore.
No, for sure not. So what does the Christmas season, holiday season, put a name on it. I mean, most of us grew up with it as Christmas. It's winter solstice, it's Hanukkah, it's whatever name we want to put on it, where it's that in the northern hemisphere, it's the time of year where we're settling into winter, and it's time to collect together because it's cold out and being outside isn't as practical. So we tend to get around the fire, around the hearth, around the family gathering, and eat and rest and share time. So historically speaking, I see it as guided by the time of year and the shortening of the days. So what does it mean to you? What are your earliest memories of the holiday season, and how do they play into your life today?
Yeah, for sure. Reflecting on the holidays, and I have such compassion for those who don't love the holidays, because I have a lot of, there's lots of people that don't have happy memories around the holidays, and they can be a really triggering time. And I think that's common and understandable. And I have some of that myself too. But for the most part, it's a really happy time for me. I really lean into the feeling of celebration and family, however defined, and tradition. I enjoy tradition. There's something about drinking hot chocolate out of a Santa mug that I love. Like, that's just something we always did when I was growing up. That's why I have this Santa mug. In the holiday season, I drink out of the Santa mug all the time, because that's something that we did. It's stupid, it's silly, but it warms my heart. It makes me feel connected to my family even when I'm not with them. So even if we aren't celebrating like we used to, because things do change and evolve, and Christmas doesn't look like it used to look. We don't all get together. And that was a source of pain as that transition sort of came upon me as an adult. But now I feel more restful that I can cultivate holiday spirit however I choose. And if I really do want to see my family or be with loved ones, I can cultivate that as well. So it's almost like a empowered responsibility around how do I make the holidays feel really happy and celebratory and peaceful for me and those I care about. Not that that's always achievable, but just like I like taking that responsibility on for myself. And as a result, I feel like I've had quite a bit of happy holidays. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it totally makes sense. Our choice is always at the front of how we experience our life, right? If we're choosing into a positive attitude and choosing to see the light in things, choosing to see the value in things, then that's what the experience that we're going to have. We choose our experiences. So, yeah, I can totally see that.
What about you?
I look back at my own childhood memories of Christmas, and I would say that I had, of course, for what appeared to me to be a very stereotypical experience with the holidays, where we had a Christmas tree in the living room covered with tinsel, and we had a lot of decorations, which were very confusing to me as a child. We had decorations of Santa Claus and we had decorations of Jesus, and right. I didn't quite understand the bridge between the two. It didn't really make sense, but I went with it. I'm like, all right, some reason we have trees and a manger, and I don't know why. They're from different cultures, but this is what we got. We had our little baby manger,
right.
The little mock-up one. It was really cute. I liked having all that ornate stuff, and my mom would do these beautiful Christmas tree decorations, and my sister especially just loved to do these lavish trees, just ornately decorated with all the little trimmings everywhere. So she got so much pleasure out of decorating and gift wrapping and setting the whole picture of the tree with all the gifts under it, and it was a really big deal. And I'm going to date myself right here. I can remember when we got a color television for Christmas.
What?
Right?
Nice.
Yes, I remember getting a color TV, because previous to that, we had a big black and white console, like monster Mamma Jamma TV. And so those are the early days for me, and grandma, grandpa, godparents, aunts and uncles making the trips around, being the little 3, 4, 5, 6-year-old kid, having that kind of experience. It all seemed very stereotypical. And it was quite a joyful period in life, because it's celebratory, it's colorful, there's lots of fun being had, there's delicious food, there's all these wonderful things. And for me, that all came to a very rapid stop at one point when my parents passed on, and I no longer had this same experience of joyfulness. It became very difficult period. We still had family getting together and we still had the Christmas trees, but it just didn't have the same love and bond and celebrating with mother and father because my mom and dad were no longer there. So I went through this really tortured state, I would say, from about 16 years old till maybe 24 or so, like a period of my life where Christmas was just something I just couldn't even stand the thought of the holiday season coming up, because there was so much loss and grief and just feeling of missing and something wrong. And was it me or was it everything? I just didn't know. Yeah. And I substituted, when I started skydiving, my first year skydiving, I got invited to get in a van with a bunch of people that I barely knew and drive from Canada all the way to Florida to go skydiving for the holidays. And I'd never even heard of such a thing or a concept where you would go, first of all, go to another country to jump out of planes. Why would you do that? You could do that here in the summertime. But we jumped in a van. I don't like a minute's notice. Off I went, and I spent my Christmas day jumping out of airplanes. And that was a completely radical concept for me as a 21-year-old kid. Mm-hmm. And that's basically what I've done for the last 25 years with Christmas Day, is spend it in the sky, spend it working, spend it jumping, spend it flying, spend it celebrating and living life to, my current definition of how do you live life to the fullest. Right. And I wanted to kind of bring this around because I felt that for myself in the last number of years, skydiving kind of stepped to the back for me, and my family, myself, my feelings, my emotions, underlying memories, all those things have come back to the foreground. Yeah. There's been a switch. I haven't spent my Christmas skydiving for a couple of years now. And ironically, I think I'm going to spend Christmas Day skydiving this year. I haven't skydived at all this year. Interesting. And I think I'm going to go skydiving this Christmas Day. Nice. And amazingly, I'm also going to go spend Christmas with my family back in Canada for the first time ever. Ever.
It's wonderful.
Yeah. So, yeah, the holidays, right? It's crazy how much of our heart is in it.
Yeah, it's so true. I so love that you shared that, because I want to share a little bit more about my early years too. But before I forget, in the client work that I do with the people that I work with as a coach, as a life coach, we were talking recently about the pain at the holidays and having, that hurt and the challenge and just hoping this time of year gets to be over soon and stuff like that. And anyway, we talked about the concept of creating a new anchor memory, which it sounds like you did when you were younger by going on this really crazy road trip, quote unquote crazy, and making some new happy memory that is something we can't forget, that has a lot of positivity, not as an avoidance of feeling, right? So that's not, I wouldn't advise people to just avoid the feeling. Like now you're talking about the feeling coming back up, and I'm sure in your commitment to healing and growth, you're looking at those in a totally different way than you would have as a 21-year-old young man without skills. You know what I mean? So it's cool. It can be that opportunity for reflection and healing. Or if we need to create a new anchor memory because we need that respite from hurt, then that's sometimes a cool thing to consider or contemplate, because then we have that new anchor memory to think of the next year, and it's maybe less painful because we're creating a new. So that's just something to think about if you are in that camp of not loving the holidays. Maybe you can come up with something new that you're excited about that would change this time for you next year.
I think that's very much the case of the point that I was making was, for myself, because of not feeling a connection of joy because of feeling a pain when the idea of family came up. When it's a time to share with family and family isn't something that's feeling really good or working really well or doesn't exist or whatever the circumstance might be, that when that came up for me, the idea of doing something for myself that I truly enjoyed that brought me, a feeling of fulfillment on that day was a really powerful process to put in place. And, I feel very, very fortunate to have found, anything at all in my life that I just can go, yeah, I really love doing this. I'm going to go do that today. And along with it, the celebration, the joyfulness, the playfulness, the curiosity, the exploration, all the things that really make life worth living come along with it. And, I always feel very grateful for the Sky family as a whole because it is so bonded and so connected. And there's generally always gatherings around the holidays that happen at the drop zones, at the skydiving centers, right? People get together and celebrate Thanksgiving. We get together and we celebrate Christmas. We celebrate New Year's. We celebrate the holidays. And I really do enjoy that. And at the same time, I'm very much looking forward to spending time with my blood relatives, which I haven't done in ages since I was a kid, like literally a kid. So I'm super excited right now to be going back home to visit with the Maletsky family and share some of that time together.
Yay. I just love it. I love it. I mean, all versions of it are wonderful. It's like, so my early holiday experience isn't much unlike yours. It was the Christmas tree, and we kind of maybe went to church the first couple of years, but not really. We were that type of family. Definitely the celebratory vibe. Definitely love the decorations and this and that. And we would go and travel to my grandmother's house, and my parents were divorced, so I would spend some time with my dad and my stepmom, and we would do a whole Christmas there and a whole Christmas at my mom's house and at home, and then we would drive and go and see my extended family. And this was something I always loved. My mom's side of the family I have a ton of cousins. We have a really big family, and my grandmother, she was always the glue that really bonded us together. And there were so many different cousins in a same age range. We would get our present and we would all have to sit around and we would all have to open at the same time because we always got the same thing, right? So you had to open really fast, otherwise you would already know what you got. And that was just wonderful. And it was always one of my favorite things to do at Christmas was to go and see my family and see my gram and see how happy everyone was and she was. And it's interesting how as life goes on, like even me, with the happy memories from my childhood and all of that, life still changes. My grandmother has passed, and our family doesn't really do the big giant Christmases together anymore. And there's a bit of grieving around that too, and a bit of uncomfortable acknowledgement with how life changes and how life goes on, as it were. And so inside of that space, I'm grateful for the skills that I have, because in seeing that, it really does allow me to create and choose. So like, for example, this year, Sarah is my roommate. She's amazing. I love her so much. She's definitely part of my family, my chosen family. And we picked a day and we went out and we chopped down our own Christmas tree. I've never done that. And it was totally hilarious. They were like, "Do you need a guy to help cut it down?" We're like, "No, feminist Christmas." It was so dumb. We were just being ridiculous the whole day, but it was really fun. And then we had people over and we sang Christmas carols, and it was this little New Jersey family, and we're making new memories. And that's wonderful too. So does it mean that I don't miss my gram and those big Christmases? No, I do miss that. It's that I choose into the opportunity of what is available and what I can create now.
That's awesome. I wanted to also mention, because I feel like I kind of skimmed over it a little bit, is that even though I've found something for myself to do for a very long time that made me feel very fulfilled and kept me occupied and gave me a new valuable memory. What was the term you used there?
Anchor memory.
Anchor memory, a new anchor memory. Thank you. I still struggle with massive amounts of depression around the holidays. Like, that has never gone away. I'm 46 years old.
Right.
And since I've been a boy, I've had bouts, and sometimes very, very challenging bouts of depression around the holidays. And I know many of us suffer with depression around the holidays because it's a mixture. Our lives are not just sunshine and rainbows, right? There are difficult experiences and difficult memories, and particularly they tend to anchor around these gathering points, around these points that are kind of hallmarked as to be joyous. And
Yeah.
if a date on the calendar has a connection to it to be celebratory and to be joyous and to be a good memory, and it doesn't turn out that way, it can easily leave us with an emotional scar that may never heal, that we hold on to for a very long time. And I really like your point of the creating new anchor memories and looking for ways to break up that cycle. And at the same time, what I want to touch on here is it's okay to not feel great. If there's something that comes up, feel it.
Absolutely.
Feel it. Be grateful for the ability to feel it, first of all, because if we're not feeling anything, we're just dead, right?
Right.
The whole point is feeling. So if those feelings come up, and we feel challenged by them and we feel the difficulty surrounding them, just let the feeling come up. Just let that feeling be there. Let it live for a second. And then remember that we aren't the feeling. The feeling is totally okay. It's part of our life. But it's not now. It's not anymore. It's not this moment. And we have all the control in the world in this instant to do whatever it is that we wish to do to make a new feeling, a new memory, a new experience.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's an interesting, curious thing. I mean, it speaks to the being outside of the crowd. You know what I mean? If you're like, oh, everyone's super happy during the holidays and I'm not, it's sort of like, yeah, it sucks because you feel it has this exclusionary vibe, which, as we know, I'm wildly averse to anything that feels exclusionary, so it's the validation of that feeling, I think, is huge. I'm so glad you said that, yeah, it's totally normal and understandable if you've had a painful experience around the holidays, or if you feel like you are excluded from some social norm, that you wouldn't feel that great. And that's totally and completely understandable. And cool that we're talking about potential ways to either just allow that or to step out of it if that's what someone feels like they're inspired to do this year, or not, So there are options, and it doesn't have to be this cookie cutter thing. If you're into the cookie cutter thing, fuck yeah. Drink out of a Santa mug, make cookies, wrap presents, whatever, light the candles on the thing, however you celebrate, whatever holiday, whatever, religion or spiritual practice or not that you do, maybe you just are averse to all of it and you're full rejection of the holidays. That's cool too. It's really to each their own, Yeah. One of my friends posts all these comical averse to Christmas memes. And I'm like, I'm the person who's like post Halloween. I'm like, yes, I can listen to Christmas music.
I was laughing.
I
was driving down the road the other day, and there's a billboard around the corner from here, and it says all Christmas music all the time. And I'm just like, no, please don't do that to me. No, I was like, I'll kill myself if you play Christmas music all the time. No, it's like the worst torture I could possibly live through.
I know, it's so comedy. Yeah. I love that. We embrace the difference in humanity. Well, I really do. I'm going to shift the conversation a little bit because I do want to talk about what we have to offer. I like the idea of giving people some insight into last minute gift ideas that might feel more thoughtful to them. I know it's not normally what we talk about because really business is not our top the top thing on our mind when we're having these discussions. But it's funny, at the beginning of the podcast, we talked a bit more about entrepreneurship and business and that type of stuff. And I really like those episodes. So there's a part of me that does want to share, even just from my own perspective as an entrepreneur, because I'm not really much of a pusher of presence around this time. It's just not really my thing. But I sell stuff. So I'm like, if some people want to buy stuff, great. Cool. If you feel like it supports us, or, it's a fit for one of the people that you love, then great. If not, great. Like, I am so wildly low pressure on this stuff, but I also challenge myself to share, which is why I want to on this episode.
So please go into detail about what items it is that you have for sale in your marketplace.
Yeah, I know. So basically, team, I'll start with my own individual self first. I have 3 books for sale. So How to Fly, Life Lessons from a Professional Skydiver. That's the skydiving focused one, obviously. That's on Amazon. I have With Our Whole Broken Hearts, which is a graphic memoir, and it's totally beautiful. That's also on Amazon. You probably have to type my name in to find it. And my other book, One Positive Thought Can Change Everything. That's a quote book, an interactive book where you can take a look at your mindsets, read a little bit of what I've written on mindset, and listen or read some quotes from people that I admire and from myself. So that. We've got life coaching. So that, of course, you can buy a sample session, which is a week. So that's a week of life coaching with me. I have gift certificates for people, so you can always get one for someone that you love. I know people think that's a little bit of a weird present, like they're going to think that I think something's wrong with them or whatever. I don't know, maybe, but I tend to think it's a pretty badass present, giving them this experience of personal growth. I don't know. What do you think about that, Jay?
I think that there's something wrong with all of us, and that's perfectly okay. That's what makes it perfect. That if anybody tries to tell me that there's nothing wrong with them, I don't want anything to do with that person because they're lying to my face, right? So everybody should recognize that therapy of any kind, teammates of any kind, pro advice of any kind is an awesome gift. It's an awesome get together, share. It means I love you and I want to support you on your journey is what it means.
Yeah. Totally. I completely agree. Obviously, not just because this is the work that I do, but because that is how I approach my own life as well. Excuse me. So the other coaching stuff that I have is this is something I actually don't promote very much, but I do a life coaching group that is more cost effective than the one-on-one coaching. So I invite people to start with a sample session. So the sample session is that week that I just described, and that's $250. And that gets you the experience of coaching with me for the call and the week after. But the coaching group is a bit different, where there's a call once a week, but it's a group situation. So it's still intimate. But yeah, you would have to email me if you were interested in that, because that is a highly curated group. People have to apply to be a part of that.
And your email is?
Oh yeah, mel@melaniecurtis.com. Thank you, Jay.
You're welcome.
Getting close. Last thing. The other thing that's really totally affordable, and this is for skydivers for sure, is I do an online skydiving coaching group that is $5 a month. I basically require people to pay something because I believe in the buy-in as people's motivation. It helps motivate their engagement in the group, which helps them get a lot more out of it. And that group has been going on for, 3-4 years now, and it's awesome. So if you're a young skydiver and you want to just join, then join. Or if you want to gift it to somebody, you can totally gift it to them too. But it's, really at the lower end of a cost, but tends to really deliver high value for people looking for skydiving coaching in the digital way anyway. And then it brings us to Trust the Journey and what we have.
So what are our offerings right now? We have t-shirts and hoodies.
Yeah.
Right? Available on Amazon. And if you want the links for those, you can go to trustthejourney.today and you can see our website and you can scroll down and there's a big bar in there where you can get swagged with our Trust the Journey shirts and hoodies, and the people who have them love them, and I love sporting my own. They're nice quality and they're really comfy and soft, and I always feel super nice when I wear them because I'm putting on my mood, it's very much mood, that motif of like current mood. Trust in the journey, bitches. Here we go. Right? Moth.
Yes.
Yeah. And we have our Patreon group, the Trust the Journey family, which I was just scrolling through it and reading posts earlier today, and I absolutely love it. Sometimes I feel like a spectator to the group because everybody's so engaged and active and open and honest. And I love seeing longtime friends, people that I've known for decades, as well as people I've never met, completely engaging and sharing and supporting each other and being involved. And that group, again, as we say at the beginning and end of every episode, it's any minimal buy-in. If you want to put any amount down on Patreon, you get invited to the group. And it's just like Melanie was saying, we encourage some level of buy-in for participation because it is something where you need to be an active member. And a lot of people in the group like to sit on the outside and be a little bit more observant, and once in a while chime in with a little bit of love or support or a smile or a laugh. And some people are very active with some beautifully long posts and shares, and it's just fantastic. And I love the art that shows up in there. There's just so much cool stuff. So super stoked on that group and proud to be part of it.
What I love, I just want to jump in quick on the Trust the Journey family. And because again, if we're talking about holidays and gift ideas, I'm not joking. If you think someone would be a fit for the group, donate on Patreon $1 a month and get them in the group. So like certainly if not, then don't. But it's more like that's such a cost-effective way to give something of wildly high value and true thoughtfulness if you think the person that you love would be a fit for this vibe, how we roll here.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So I'll jump off from the Trust the Journey family on Patreon to my own Patreon. I have my own Jason Moledzki, aka JMO, Patreon page to help support my artistic endeavors in the music world. I've been performing as a DJ now for 20 years, which I'm starting to realize is reaching the level of mastery when it comes to the 10,000 hours or practices. And I absolutely love playing music. I love sharing the experience. Most of the time I do it strictly out of the joy of giving. And I practice literally every single day. For the last 20 years, I barely have ever missed a day if I haven't practiced for hours the next day. So you can find me on Patreon there. I have a number of supporters. I really, truly appreciate and cherish those of you who are there supporting me right now. And if any of you feel so motivated and would like to also help support me on that path, it makes a huge difference. It's really powerful to have that little bit of extra bump along to keep things going. And I have to say, I'm very excited that the amount of work that I've been doing for the last few months has been intense and developing concepts and ideas and pushing the artistic level. So it's super fun. And I just finished a big set in Australia, and I'm working on one coming up. I'm going to be playing at New Year's, and it's a huge investment of time and energy and money. And I'd love for you to feel like invited to support that artistic endeavor. I also have another little side business where I sell fly sites to people who want to learn more about flying parachutes. You can contact me. Yes, I have a couple.
Tell me more.
I sell a little GPS unit that gets mounted to your helmet. It's called a fly site, and they are fantastic tools. The tool itself, the hardware, is leveraged through a piece of software that was co-developed with Michael Cooper and myself, specifically for debriefing and analyzing and learning about canopy flight. So it goes wonderfully in conjunction with Flight 1 Canopy Skills Training course, either one of our scheduled courses that are on the calendar, which you can find at flight-1.com, and go to the calendar, and you can find them all over the world and sign up on there. Or you can contact Coach at flight-1.com and look for private coaching if you want to get something more one-on-one, or a gift certificate for somebody that you feel would love to get some education, or is maybe just a little too not ready to go out and look for it themselves or can't afford it. If you want to get somebody some coach, I love the gift certificate people who show up, because very oftentimes a loved one, a family member, a partner, somebody will buy a gift certificate for somebody that they know could really benefit from a little one-on-one attention. And when those gift certificate people come in to get their coaching, they're just over the moon with the actual experience of having had some private attention from a premier coach who's going to then give them everything that they need to improve their skill set. So that's another great offering through Flight One. And if you really like base jumping, I sell proxies too. Amazing parachutes. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. You can contact me, Jay, at flight-1.com for any of this stuff. If you want to just get in touch and say Merry Christmas, I'll be glad to chat with you. Yeah.
It's so funny. It's so obvious that we're so much better at talking about all this stuff we normally talk about versus all these things. As you were talking, I was like, oh yeah, I also sell online classes. Like, oh shit, I also sell this and that.
Yeah.
And that's kind of why I wanted to do that today is that it's so rare that I do it, you know, and it is part of being in business. And it's been an amazing part of my growth process as a person and a business person, but to learn business and to experiment and to, you know, gosh, I remember back in the day doing my first teleseminars and stuff like that, and how stressed and nervous I was. And now posting on Facebook and saying, hey, if I led an online webinar, what would you guys want to learn about from me? And I got a whole slew of ideas, and putting those things together, recording them in real time, and then selling them for $11 because $11 is my favorite number. 11 is my favorite. So I'm like, fuck it, $11. That's it. But having way low stress and just hoping that real affordable entry point is a way to help people get access to some of these growth mindsets and skills that have helped me so much. So it's that cool, beautiful thing of when you, at least for me, being in business and in realms that I love, it always feels like a contribution. So I'm always like pricing stuff at what I feel like is going to feel great for me and also hopefully great for the person who gets it. Like there's a lot of thoughtfulness that goes into that, at least from my perspective. And so as Jay pointed to, anybody who buys anything from me, I'm just so grateful. I'm so grateful, and I really hope it makes a difference for someone's life.
Absolutely. Yeah. The whole gift giving thing, it's been a challenge for me because I love giving gifts. I give gifts all year round to the people that are special to me, to random people. When it just comes, the timing is just like, oh, this is for you. You just feel it. And it's such there's always an immediate give back. Anytime that you're giving, anytime that we are truly just expressing gratitude for somebody by showing our gratitude for them, it immediately reflects back. And I can't think of a single time in my life where that demonstration of gratitude hasn't immediately felt rewarding. And it's never the intention of seeking the reward. Right. The intention is to show appreciation and to show gratitude, but it never fails to fill the cup. Yeah.
Yeah.
So good.
Oh, so good. It's true. Oh, it's the thoughtfulness. I keep coming back to that, but that's the word that I keep coming back to when I think of holidays. I always think of love and connection and stuff, but that's like persistent in all of my life, always. But it comes back to thoughtfulness. It almost is, for me, this motivator, this little bit of a like push toward extra thoughtfulness.
So let's segue with
Yeah.
thoughtfulness, mindfulness, awareness from this holiday season into the new year.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I was going to totally forget to even talk about the new year. New decade.
The holiday, new decade, right? So how exciting is it to be going into 2020, in our lives, to be like, what is going to happen between 2020 and 2030? This is to me, this feels entirely unpredictable as to the rate of change and the things that are going on. And I'm super excited. I'm just going to share my own personal opinion here because
please.
This is my soapbox.
Yeah, baby,
Right?
do it.
And I am happy to stand on a soapbox and say that I am confident. I am entirely confident that there is more good in the world today than there has ever been at any other point in time. And the reason that I say that is because I see it coming from everywhere. I open my feeds from social media or from my inboxes or from my mailbox, or I'm on the street, I'm passing somebody at the airport, who knows, some random interaction with somebody who worked for an airline, and they're like, this way from this gate to this gate, happy holidays, Merry Christmas, and they mean it, right? And I feel the connectivity of how many people are becoming self-aware in the greater context. And so when I say that, it's self-awareness of us, as awareness of humanity, awareness of our interconnectivity, and awareness of how we all live on the same planet together, and awareness how we have limited resource, and awareness how if we don't get along, well, there's no other option. We got to get along. And really, we're in a time of peace right now. We're in a wonderful time where people are tuning in and turning on and figuring out what's going on together and doing what we can. And it's small steps everywhere that's going to make the big difference. And I don't expect to be a radical change. And, it's a tough sell for all of us to get past the fear that's out there in the world of how much negativity we could hold on to versus the positivity as the option. And so my encouragement is trust in your own self-knowledge, trust in your own self-belief, trust in our connectivity that the positive change in the world is happening, and carry that together into this new year, into this new decade, and into this new world.
Yeah. Amen.
Thank you.
Beautiful.
My soapbox for the day.
You're allowed when that's the message. Just kidding. You're allowed anytime.
But that's the message. That is the message. Yeah.
Oh, gosh. I sit here, I take that in, and we said this a year ago or even 2 years ago, maybe stay with me for a second. This idea that swell of consciousness, like that it feels like it is happening. I feel like we are a part of that. And I'm sure I'm saying literally exactly what you just said, but every time I think about this, I get really energized it's weird. It's like this, it's almost like I feel the abundance. I've mentioned that before, but like this feeling of power. It's like this interesting feeling of positive power. And that for me comes from connection to this idea that we are working together for good. That is really, really, really exciting to me and empowering and motivating. And it goes back to my first share, this whole being with a community of like minds, ringing the bell at the NASDAQ this morning. Yeah, that was cool. But it's not because whatever, it's because the mission that Elevate Network and just that example stands for is very empowering to me. They're working for collective good. They're working for things that I believe in and am excited to promote. And so that's exciting. It feels a part of this elevated consciousness, this elevated, let's work together for good. Let's make positive social change together. And that's what I feel like we're doing, even with this show and just any person we have a conversation with about consciousness, about healing, about togetherness, about support, about whatever. Yeah, I'm with you. Soapbox over. Boom.
I've talked to a lot of my friends. I was having this conversation just the other day with somebody very close to me who I love very much, Mr. Christopher McDougall. I'll just give him a little shout because he's such a good friend, and I'm really just such a huge fan of his journey. And we were chatting and about the practice of believing in change, the practice of positivity, the practice being what creates the reality. It's like anything, right? Like, you don't become a world champion canopy pilot by not practicing that. You don't become one of the world's most famous and reputable and long-standing base jumpers by not practicing that. You have to put it in practice. You don't become one of the world's most known life coaches and who kicks ass, who's named Melanie Curtis, by not practicing that, right? You have to practice. It has to be your daily ritual of what you do. Your ritualistic approach to, this is what I'm going to do. This is what I'm going to become, because this is what I want in my life, because this is what feels good. And this is the message that I want to share or be remembered for, or simply experience on a daily basis. This is what I care my feelings to be like when I go through my day today. That practice is what brings it into reality. So I just wanted to touch on that because we were chatting on it. We were sitting and we were having a nice deep conversation, and we were just talking. It's just a practice. We just practice. Wait a second. Am I having a thought in this direction, or am I having a thought in this direction? Oh, I want the one that goes this way, because that's the one that guides me towards my bigger picture goal. And the goal is not a destination. It's the goal is the journey, like, as we've said it enough times, right? It's how do I feel every day as I live my life. And so what am I going to do over this Christmas holidays, over this New Year's? Continue these practices of being patient, of being forgiving, and of being loving and positive and all the things. And even if that doesn't bounce right back at me, if somebody's got their own practice going on, which is in a very different vibe, that's cool. That's okay. That's not my vibe. I don't need to let that vibe become me. I can let their vibe kind of go. And the trick is, what I think, this is just a silly thing I like to practice. I like to stand at a 45-degree angle if somebody's throwing something other than positivity. Right. So it deflects and it bounces off and it heads somewhere else. I just don't square off with them. Right. But if somebody's sending out love and gratitude, I'll stare straight at them and I'll just get right in front of them, and then it just bounces right back and forth. So that's my approach to energy acceptance or deflection.
I love it. You're right. It's a practice. All of it's a practice. I mean, even the business realm, we talked about that. Like, you wouldn't have a hugely successful Flight One business, company without day after day working on the business.
10-year overnight success.
10 years to an overnight success. Amen, my friend. Yeah. Exactly right. So it's those iterative processes and this coming up with stuff to sell is part of being in an iterative process of being an entrepreneur, being a burgeoning business owner, being a creative in the business realm. So it's I'm a creative in non-business realms, and I'm a creative in the business realm because I'm a creative, so it's that's how I frame business and why I feel like I've been able to not get attached to outcomes of the things that I put out for offering. Some things go off the hook and other things just don't, and it's all good. It's all part of the learning and growth, and I love that about it.
I want to mention something I forgot to touch on earlier.
Yeah, please.
Is that if you want to listen to any of the music that I record or put out, or any of the mixes that I've ever made, they're all on SoundCloud.com or Mixcloud. And if you want to download them all, you can download them all. Every single thing I've ever put out on SoundCloud, if you go on your computer and click on the More button, you can download it for free. So it's
Yeah.
all up there. That's my gift to everybody, that if you want to download that music, feel free to download it. It's there for your having and enjoyment.
I mean, I feel like that's a good place to round out, guys. We will put all of the links for everything we talked about in the notes.
When Melanie says we, she means her.
I mean us, and I love you. But seriously, guys, as per usual, we love you. I love that we're recording this real time. It feels so cool to know that you'll hear this tomorrow. You know, that I feel like we're really talking to you. So I just truly from us to you, we love you so much, and just so grateful that you're with us. We hope whether you have, however your holiday season goes, know that we're sending you love from here. And yeah, Jay, any final thoughts?
Yeah, I definitely would like to send a happy holidays to all of our listeners. If you care to share this episode with somebody, I think that's a wonderful gift. It costs nothing. It takes 2 seconds. You hit the share link. You send it to whoever you think might appreciate and enjoy it. If it might lift their day or their spirit in any way whatsoever, that would mean so much to us, to me personally. Definitely sharing is caring. So please enjoy your holidays. Be careful out there. Don't drink and drive.
Oh, yes. Please, for the love of God.
Going into the new year, I wish you the very best, and attitude is everything. Don't swing the pendulum too hard.
Happy New Year, everyone.
Happy holidays. Happy
As
New Year.
always, keep laughing, keep loving, and keep trusting the journey.
We love you.